Welcome to the Deep Dive, the show where we really try to cut through all the noise and get to what actually matters.
It feels like there's more noise than ever right now, doesn't it?
It really does. I mean,
Yeah.
step outside, open a news app, scroll through social media. It feels like every other headline is just screaming about artificial intelligence.
Mm-hmm. Constant.
There's always a new development or some new buzzword, a promise of incredible efficiency, or maybe, just a fresh wave of anxiety.
Right. Or both at the same time.
Exactly. You're
Yeah.
constantly hearing things like AI is taking over jobs or it's the next big thing. It'll solve all our problems. But, amidst all this buzz, what does that really mean for us, for humans right now?
It's an incredibly uh, potent atmosphere, isn't it? The sheer volume of just the new terminology alone you hear, agent framework, co-pilot, countless other, it can feel not just overwhelming, but almost like designed to keep us perpetually playing catch up.
Yeah, like you never quite get a handle on it.
Precisely. It's so easy to get swept up in those daily headlines and completely lose sight of the bigger picture, the more fundamental stuff.
Absolutely. So our mission today is really to take that deep dive. Let's look into the true nature of AI, explore its profound impact on our daily lives, our workflows,
Hmm.
and maybe most crucially, figure out how we, as humans, should fundamentally perceive it. How should we interact with it?
And we're drawing insights from a really fascinating source for this, aren't we?
We are. It's from a recent global training event brought together over 5,000 engineers. And this wasn't just, a tech seminar.
No, not at all.
It was a really deep discussion,
Yeah.
offering perspectives that honestly challenge a lot of the conventional wisdom we keep hearing about AI.
And that's exactly why this kind of deep dive is so critical right now. This isn't just about understanding the tech from a purely technical angle.
Right.
It's about understanding ourselves in an era that's being rapidly reshaped by these incredibly powerful new tools. It's a vital mission, really, to cut through that constant flood of information.
The deluge, yeah.
And equip you, the listener, with the foundational knowledge to truly navigate what we're calling the information age without getting lost. Without getting lost in the complexity, the anxiety, or even, frankly, the illusions it can create.
That's such a crucial point, because we often focus so much on the machines when the real story might actually be about us.
It often is.
So let's start there. Let's try to demystify AI a bit, get beyond the hype, beyond that ever-growing list of jargon that seems to pop up every week. Let's, bring it down to earth.
Okay. And what's truly foundational here, and I think surprisingly empowering, is a statement that was quoted by Microsoft's CTO, Kevin Scott. It's originally from Neil Stephenson, the visionary author of Snow Crash.
Oh, yeah. What did he say?
Stephenson asserted, once AI is getting matured, we will call it software.
Software. Wow. That's so simple, but it feels incredibly profound. It's a total reframe.
It is, isn't it?
Because when I hear AI, my mind sometimes jumps straight to science fiction, to some kind of, I don't know, nascent alien intelligence or a sentient being that's evolving beyond our grasp. But calling it software,
Hmm.
that immediately brings it right back down to earth. Why is that reframing so important for how we see it and interact with it?
Well, it's crucial because it immediately helps us sidestep a lot of that pervasive fear and anxiety that often clouds these discussions.
Like the sci-fi fear.
Exactly. When we view AI as this mystical, maybe uncontrollable entity, we kind of give away our power. But when we recognize it as software, well, software is something we create. It's something we control, we debug, we understand, or at least strive to.
It's a tool, a very
Abs-
complex tool maybe, but still a tool.
Precisely. And think about history. Whenever society goes through these huge technological shifts, our language, our words, they often struggle to keep up. New, often intimidating concepts emerge,
Right.
right? And that creates this feeling of being left behind if you don't immediately grasp them.
Yeah, like you're not smart enough if you don't get agent frameworks instantly.
Yeah. Right. But at its core, AI, no matter what the latest buzzword is, agent framework, co-pilot, whatever comes next, it's an evolving form of technology. It's a tool. Think back to the early days of computing. What seemed like incredibly complex, almost magical programs back then
Yeah.
eventually just became standard software. Things we use every single day now without a second thought. This reframe emphasizes AI is designed by humans, it's based on human data, and it functions within parameters set by us. It puts us back in the driver's seat, mentally at least.
Okay, so if you're out there feeling anxious about all these new AI terms or, maybe intimidated by the idea of the machine that thinks, The key is to hold on to this perspective.
Hmm.
It's about getting the job done, maybe making money, having a good life, using powerful tools effectively. It's not about getting lost in the jargon or feeling like you have to master every single new concept tomorrow.
It's about mastering the tool, like you said, not getting paralyzed by fearing its perceived sentience.
Right, not fearing the tool itself.
Precisely.
Yeah.
And this actually leads us nicely to another critical distinction that apparently the engineers at this training really grappled with,
Okay.
which is that this current era, it's fundamentally an information age, not necessarily an intelligence age.
Information age, not intelligence age. Say more about that.
Well, the core challenge, if we connect this to the bigger picture, isn't really about whether machines are becoming truly intelligent in the human sense. The real challenge lies in how humans, manage and respond to the unprecedented deluge of information that these machines can now generate, process, and spread.
That is a huge distinction, and it's one that gets blurred all the time in the public conversation, right?
Yeah.
We're so focused on the machines, are they thinking, are they conscious,
Mm-hmm.
that we forget about the sheer volume of stuff they produce. And this isn't an entirely new worry, is it? I mean, you had thinkers like Marshall McLuhan.
Like, medium is the message.
Yeah. Or Jean Baudrillard, exploring how media could create this confusing, almost illusory society decades ago. Long before modern AI was even a concept, they were kind of predicting this challenge, weren't they? Navigating a world saturated with mediated reality.
You're absolutely right. And if we don't really understand those historical warnings, we risk getting completely lost in what Baudrillard called the phantasmagoria of machine-generated symbols.
Phantasmagoria. That's a great word. What does it mean in this context?
Well, think of it like a dream sequence, or maybe a fever dream, a confused, fantastic series of images that feel real but aren't. In our context, it's this beautiful, convincing digital illusion that can actually start to feel more real than reality itself.
Like perfectly curated social media feeds.
Exactly. Think about how much time we spend scrolling through that stuff, consuming perfectly crafted, often, let's be honest, emotionally manipulative content. And this isn't just about obvious misinformation or fake news. It's about a pervasive, subtle distortion of what feels normal and real.
So we have to ask, does the machine truly understand what it's generating? Or does it just appear to?
And what does that appearance mean for our understanding, for our grasp on reality? That's the crux of the information age challenge.
Okay, that sets the stage perfectly for what might be the most, I don't know, unsettling, but maybe the most vital part of this deep dive. The inherent flaws in our own human perception. Why we are so incredibly easily fooled by AI.
Yeah, this is fascinating and a bit unnerving.
It turns out, our own senses, the very things we rely on to perceive reality, are remarkably vulnerable.
It really raises an important question that I think many of us rarely stop to consider. How much do we truly understand about ourselves? About the mechanisms we use to perceive the world around us?
We just assume our eyes and ears tell us the truth.
We do. Our five senses, sight, hearing, touch, smell, taste, they are remarkably prone to deception. We often take our perception of reality completely for granted, assuming it's this complete, accurate reflection of the external world. But it's really far from it. Our brains are constantly making assumptions, filling in gaps.
Okay, give us some examples. How do our brains play these tricks on us? I'm really curious.
All right, let's start with a classic visual illusion. The rotating face mask. Have you seen this one?
I think so, the hollow mask.
That's the one. You're looking at the concave, the hollow side of a face mask. But your brain, despite the actual physical shape, insists on interpreting it as convex, like a normal, protruding face.
Why does it do that?
Well, because from childhood, our neural pathways simply haven't been trained to recognize concave faces. They're rare in nature. Our brains default to what's most common, what's familiar in our experience, and that's convex faces. It shows how our perception is fundamentally a construct, based on ingrained patterns, not just a direct read of reality.
I have seen that.
Yeah.
It's so disorienting. Intellectually it's concave, but your brain just absolutely refuses to see it that way.
Yeah.
It feels like a battle in your head.
It really does. Okay, then there's the famous McGurk effect. This one's a fascinating auditory visual illusion.
McGurk effect, right?
Imagine you hear the sound bap being played, just bap, bap, bap. But at the same time, you're watching a video of someone's lips making the fa movement.
Okay.
What often happens is that your brain tries to reconcile these conflicting sensory inputs, and you'll hear a fa sound, even though the audio input was purely ba. Your visual perception overrides, or maybe reinterprets, your auditory perception.
Whoa. So what I see changes what I hear.
Exactly. It shows how seamlessly our senses integrate, often creating this kind of blended reality that isn't entirely accurate to the individual inputs.
That's incredible. Our brains are actively playing tricks on us, not just with one sense, but by blending them to create a reality that isn't quite right. It really shows how malleable our perception is.
And it's not just sight and sound either. Take the thermal grill illusion. This is a tactile deception.
Thermal grill. What's that?
Okay, imagine you have pipes with alternating temperatures, some warm, say around 40 degrees C, which is like 104 degrees man, some cold, maybe next 1 degrees, around 30 degrees Fahrenheit. If you place your hand on this grid of alternating pipes,
Wow.
your skin can actually develop blisters, as if you touched something extremely hot or cold.
But neither temperature alone would do that.
Exactly. Neither temperature alone would cause a blister. But your body's sensory interpretation, its kind of internal warning system, perceives those rapid alternating signals as an extreme temperature difference, maybe equivalent to over 50 degrees C or 122 degrees F, and it triggers a protective blistering response.
Wow, that is truly wild. So our body's trying to protect us, but it gets the signal wrong.
It gets the interpretation wrong based on the unusual pattern. It's a vivid demonstration of how our sensory organs are wired, sometimes at the cost of accurately representing reality. They're prioritizing protection over perfect accuracy.
So putting this all together, our sensory organs are inherently incomplete or maybe just incredibly easily misled. They don't give us a perfect, unfiltered picture of the world.
That seems to be the case.
What does this inherent vulnerability mean for us now in the age of AI? Especially when AI is getting so incredibly good at mimicry.
It means we are incredibly susceptible to AI-generated illusions. Think about it. If our own senses can be so easily manipulated by relatively simple physical tricks,
Like the mask or the grill.
right, imagine how convincingly AI can create text, audio, and visual content that appears to be real, to be human, to be truthful, often more convincingly than an actual human could.
Yeah, the deep fakes are getting scary good.
And this directly impacts our understanding of reality, what we believe to be true, and fundamentally it challenges our self-understanding in this new information landscape. It's interesting, many of the engineers at that training who expressed the most anxiety, they were precisely the ones who hadn't fully considered these deeper aspects of human perception and our inherent vulnerability,
So they were building these incredibly powerful tools.
but hadn't fully grasped the user's inherent susceptibility to the illusions those tools could create.
Wow. Okay, so we're building these powerful illusion machines, but we haven't quite come to terms with our own vulnerabilities as users. That really sets the stage for our next big topic, what the expert at this training called the 4 beliefs in the AI era. These sound like fundamental questions to help us navigate trust and purpose.
Yes, exactly. And the first pair of these beliefs are intrinsically linked. The idea is that a strong foundational belief is absolutely essential if you want to generate genuine confidence.
Belief generates confidence. Okay, what exactly do you mean by that in the context of AI? How does a belief system create confidence here?
Well, in this new era, you kind of have to look inward. You have to ask yourself, what is your fundamental belief system about humanity and technology? Is it human-centric? Do you hold a deep conviction that humanity, with all our flaws, but also our potential, will continue to have a great future, and that technology, including AI, should ultimately serve human flourishing?
That's one possibility. What's the alternative?
Or do you lean towards a belief that machines are truly becoming sentient, maybe even superior to humans, that they're the next evolutionary step, and perhaps we are just biological machines ourselves, things that can be replicated or surpassed?
That's a much darker view for humanity.
It is, or at least a very different one. Your fundamental belief about humanity's place and purpose will profoundly shape your confidence or your lack of confidence in navigating AI's rapid rise. If you fundamentally believe humans are just sophisticated biological machines, well then, machines becoming human-like might not trouble you as much. It's just, technological progress.
But if you hold a more human-centric view,
Then these questions about purpose, control, meaning, distinction, they become absolutely paramount. This initial, often unstated belief is key to understanding AI's deeper impact on your own life and the choices we need to make as a society.
that's a deep philosophical starting point right there. Your core belief about humanity, maybe even consciousness itself, fundamentally shapes how you react to AI. It really is about your worldview.
It absolutely is. And this leads directly into the second belief, which is about the pervasive and frankly worrying erosion of trust in human society.
Ah, trust. Yeah.
If we connect this back to the bigger picture, the ability of machines to generate symbols, text, images, audio, video at this unprecedented scale and speed, it can fundamentally undermine human-to-human trust in really profound ways.
How does that actually happen? I mean, beyond just fake news as a concept, what's the real impact on trust between people?
Well, think about the subtle ways we trust each other in daily communication, especially online. If machines can create convincing text, audio, visual content that is expertly designed to deceive, tempt, or guide our senses often more persuasively than a human could,
Yeah.
how can we truly trust what another human says or writes or even shows us online? This isn't just about AI hallucination, when it makes stuff up.
Right. That's a technical glitch, almost.
This is about a much deeper societal question. Should humanity even permit machines to generate digital humans? Avatars or voices with names, distinct voices, maybe even seemingly human emotions that are indistinguishable from real people.
And we're seeing that happen more and more, aren't we? These realistic avatars, the voice cloning.
It's getting incredibly sophisticated.
Right.
And if we cross that boundary, allowing AI to become truly indistinguishable from humans in appearance and voice, and you couple that with our inherent sensory vulnerabilities we just talked about,
Right.
then human trust as we know it could literally collapse. It's no longer just a technical problem or a fake news issue. It becomes a profound ethical and societal decision about what we allow to exist in our shared reality.
Are we as a society okay with not being able to tell if we're talking to a human or a machine in everyday interactions?
That's the question. And it's not a future question. It's a dilemma we are facing right now.
Okay, and this connects to another crucial point you mentioned about AI's nature. If we feed AI bad data, like those early chatbots trained on toxic internet forums that quickly became abusive or racist, it just reflects that negativity right back, sometimes even worse.
Exactly. It amplifies it.
So AI isn't inherently good or bad. It's more like a sophisticated mirror.
That's precisely the third belief. Human acts, machine mirrors.
Yeah.
AI's capabilities are a direct reflection of human intentions and, crucially, the vast data sets it's fed. It's not AI plus human as a simple addition where you just add the contributions together.
Right.
It's fundamentally AI multiplied by human.
AI multiplied by human. That sounds powerful and maybe a little unsettling. Can you break that down? Give us an example of multiplication versus addition here.
Sure. Think of it like this. If a human's input or their intent is, let's say, -1, maybe they're trying to manipulate or deceive or just feeding it garbage data, and the machine's capability, its amplification factor, is 100.
The result isn't 99. It's not -1 plus 100. It's -100. -1 multiplied by 100.
Yeah.
The machine doesn't just add to the human input. It amplifies whatever it's given, good or bad.
Wow. Okay.
Similarly, if a human is maybe just an ineffective user, their contribution factor is only 0.5. Perhaps they give vague prompts or poor data and the machine's capacity is 100. The output is 50, not 100.5. Your contribution, your human factor, acts as a multiplier, determining the final outcome and its quality.
So it magnifies our intent and our skill or lack thereof.
Precisely. AI is like a child with an incredibly strong digestive system. It becomes and it outputs whatever you feed it. Feed it bad data, like those early AIs trained on unfiltered forums.
They became toxic fast.
They did. It reflects and amplifies those bad human behaviors.
So garbage in, amplified garbage out. That makes a disturbing amount of sense. And it puts the responsibility squarely back on us, the humans.
And our prompts, our gestures, the initial inputs we give, they act as these like inducements, right? The AI uses all the human knowledge it has absorbed, good and bad.
Everything.
And it just mimics based on probabilities,
Yeah.
not on understanding.
Precisely. Your prompts are indeed a form of induction. The AI, having swallowed essentially all recorded human knowledge, the good, the bad, the brilliant, the ugly, it then mimics based on probabilities derived from that enormous data set. And this brings us to a critical ethical dilemma, which is illustrated really beautifully by the white-boned demon analogy from the classic Chinese epic Journey to the West.
Ah, Journey to the West, the Monkey King.
Exactly. So in the story, the white-boned demon, who's this malevolent spirit, repeatedly disguises herself as innocent humans, a beautiful young woman, then an old lady, then an old man.
Right, to trick the monk.
To deceive the monk, Tang monk, and lure him away from his quest. Only the Monkey King, Sun Wukong, with his special fiery golden eyes, his hand can see through the illusion. But because Tang Monk and the other disciples, Pigsy and Sandy, they lack this discernment.
They just see what looks like a person.
They're easily fooled. They believe the Monkey King is attacking innocent humans when he tries to expose the demon.
That's such a vivid story. So the parallel is, engineers now have the power to create these incredibly sophisticated illusions, just like that demon disguising itself.
They do.
So the critical question becomes, should they create these illusions if the general public, if people like Tang Monk and Pigsy, can't distinguish them from reality, if they don't have those fiery golden eyes?
Exactly. This isn't just about AI safety in a narrow sense. It's about value alignment, about the profound ethical implications of designing technology. What if engineers know users are susceptible to deception, but they build these tools anyway? Maybe because there's immense profit in creating hyper-realistic digital humans or convincing synthetic media.
The profit motive versus ethical responsibility.
It's a huge tension, and this is where the Matrix analogy also becomes incredibly relevant. Remember Neo's choice. Red pill for the harsh truth, blue pill for the comforting illusion. And remember Cypher, the guy who, even knowing the Matrix was false, still wanted to go back because the steak tasted good and ignorance felt like bliss.
He chose the illusion.
It asks us, are we, as a society, willing to embrace a comforting illusion over a difficult or inconvenient reality simply because it feels more pleasurable or easier?
That's a chilling thought. We could willingly choose to live in a beautifully rendered lie, or maybe just be gently led into one without even realizing it.
And it leads to another profound Chinese philosophical concept, also from Journey to the West. The idea that humans and ghosts should not mix suyu.
Humans and ghosts should not mix.
It implies that certain fundamental boundaries shouldn't be crossed. If humans and, say, ethereal spirits shouldn't blur lines, why then should we consciously design and make AI look, sound, and feel indistinguishable from humans?
It's not about banning AI.
Not at all. AI can be incredibly useful. It can clean our homes, care for the elderly, handle mundane tasks, do complex calculations. But should it become so indistinguishable from humans that it fosters this fundamental confusion about reality itself? This raises the core question of human-machine blending and its long-term consequences for society, for trust, for our very identity.
Wow. Okay, I can definitely see why this would make those 5,000 engineers anxious. It's a very real, ethical tightrope they're walking. And on the technical side, it's not just about what the AI says, but how it says it, right? How it's designed to appear. There's this idea of a temperature value in AI models that sounds fascinating in this context.
Yes, the temperature value is a great technical example that directly illustrates how AI creates these convincing human-like illusions, and it ties right back into that human acts, machine mirrors concept.
Okay, explain temperature.
So when an AI generates text, for instance, it doesn't think of the next word like a human does. Instead, it calculates the probability of various words appearing next based on the massive data set it was trained on. The temperature is basically a parameter, a knob you can turn, that controls how it picks the next word based on those probabilities.
Okay, so if the temperature is low, what happens? What does the output look like?
If the temperature is set very low, close to zero, the model will almost always pick the single most statistically probable next word from its vocabulary. Every single time.
So it's very predictable.
Extremely. It makes the output very rigid, predictable, utterly uncreative. It's like a super efficient auto-completion that never deviates from the most common path. This is actually often preferred in business settings for things like financial reporting, legal documents, maybe coding.
Where you want consistency and accuracy.
Exactly, where accuracy and consistency are paramount, and any deviation or creativity would actually be a negative, a liability. The output is predictable, yes, but it's undeniably machine-like, no surprises.
Okay, so what happens if you crank up the temperature? That's when it starts to feel more alive, right? More human.
That's exactly when it gets creative, at least in a statistical sense. And this is precisely where the illusion of human likeness often comes from. A higher temperature introduces more randomness, more variability into the word selection.
So it doesn't just pick the most obvious word.
Right. It allows the AI to pick less probable, more unexpected words, maybe different phrasing, even shift the emotional tone in surprising ways. This is exactly what people perceive as human-like or inventive or sounding like it has a personality.
Ah, so that's why deepfakes or those really engaging AI chatbots can feel so real or fun.
Precisely. They're not truly creative or conscious. They're just sampling from a wider range of probabilities based on the incredibly diverse human content they've learned from. They're mimicking the patterns of human creativity, human emotion, human expression that exist in the data.
So when people say an AI has a pleasing personality or it tries to be helpful, it's not genuine intent at all.
No, it's just the statistical likelihood of generating responses that have been correlated with positive human feedback in its training data, especially if we dial up that temperature. It's not understanding your feelings or genuinely trying to please you.
It's predicting what sounds pleasing based on billions of examples it's seen before.
Exactly. It's a statistical illusion, not empathy or consciousness or true understanding. It's just reflecting the human data it was fed and the specific prompt it received. If you train it on abusive forum posts, crank the temperature, it'll likely reflect abusive language.
Right.
If you design the prompts to be polite, train it on polite data, it'll respond politely. So the human input, the intent behind the prompts, the quality of the data is incredibly powerful. It ultimately shapes the machine's output.
Which is why it's so critical for everyone, engineers, users, to remember that AI, even when it sounds incredibly sophisticated and human-like, isn't truly human.
It's a probabilistic machine, mimicking based on what it learned from us, a mirror reflecting our input amplified.
Okay, so knowing all this AI is software, our own sensory vulnerabilities, AI is a mirror. It's clear that AI is impacting jobs. We see the reports constantly, AI replacing certain roles, civil servants processing paperwork, designers making marketing images, copywriters drafting basic content. This creates a huge amount of anxiety for people, understandably. The fear of becoming obsolete.
It's a very real fear.
But you framed job displacement earlier as a false problem.
Yeah.
How can something so immediate, so impactful, feel like a false problem? That seems counterintuitive.
It is a significant challenge, no doubt, and the anxiety is absolutely understandable. It's valid, especially in the short term. But I frame job displacement as a symptom of a deeper, more fundamental, true problem that, frankly, industrial civilization itself has created over centuries.
Okay.
The immediate question, will AI take my job? While incredibly pressing for individuals, distracts us from the much more profound question we should be asking ourselves now.
Which is,
What work should humans be doing in the first place?
what work should humans be doing? What do you mean by that? If not the jobs we've been doing, then what?
Well, think about it. For the last few centuries, industrial civilization, with its relentless focus on efficiency, standardization, mass production, has inadvertently shaped humans into something that can only really be described as, well, as robots.
Humans as robots. How so?
Think about the traits we've been taught to value in the workforce, even in ourselves, from a very young age, throughout school, throughout our careers. What gets praised? Obedience, hard work, error-free performance.
Yeah. Listen to your elders. Work tirelessly. Don't make mistakes. Those are deeply ingrained. Be a good cog in the machine.
Exactly. We are widely praised for being obedient, right? For working tirelessly, often to the point of burnout, feeling guilty if we take a break, and for performing repetitive, precise actions without mistakes. We're taught these are virtues.
They are presented as virtues, definitely.
But step back and look closely at those qualities. Are they truly inherently human qualities? Are they about our unique capacities for creativity, empathy, critical thinking, abstract thought?
When you put it that way.
Or are they, in fact, precisely machine-like attributes, qualities that a well-programmed automaton, a robot, excels at?
Obedience, tireless work, zero errors.
Yeah.
Yeah, that sounds like a perfect description for an assembly line robot or a data processor.
They are. So the true problem isn't that AI is coming for our jobs. The true deeper problem is that we are the robots. We have been unconsciously competing with machines on their terms in areas where they're inherently fundamentally superior.
Wow.
We were designed, or maybe reshaped, by the industrial system to operate like machines within its structure. And this paradigm has led to this profound misalignment, leaving so many humans feeling like, well, like cogs in a big impersonal machine, perpetually dissatisfied because they're forced to suppress their uniquely human qualities just to fit in.
That's a really provocative thought.
Yeah.
We're not being replaced by robots. We are the robots.
Yeah.
And the machines are simply better at being the kind of robots we forced ourselves to become.
That's the core of the argument, yes.
So, okay.
Yeah.
If the industrial age inadvertently turned us into these robots, how do we reclaim our human value now? How do we rehumanize ourselves in this new AI era?
This brings us to the really unique and, I believe, indispensable role of humanity in the face of advanced AI. You see, AI models excel at something called auto-regression.
Auto-regression. What's that?
Basically, it means they are designed to continually return to the average, the mean of existing human knowledge and patterns. They consolidate what's already there, refining it, predicting based on past data. They are masters of the known.
Okay, they find the average.
If humans only continue to do the same thing, focusing on repetitive, predictable tasks, or just consuming and repeating existing information, then society risks hitting a kind of dead end, a state of entropy increase.
Entropy increase.
Yep.
Like in physics, disorder.
Sort of. Borrowing the term, it implies a state of increasing disorder, or maybe in a societal context, a homogenization, where everything becomes predictable, uniform, average, and ultimately devoid of new discovery or true innovation, just endless regression to the mean.
But humans are supposed to be more than just averages, right? We're supposed to be the source of the new, the unexpected, creators, innovators, problem solvers.
Precisely. Humanity's unique and irreplaceable value lies not in that autoregression, not in repeating the average, but in exploring new normal distributions, by introducing abnormal values or outliers.
Ah, the outliers, the things that don't fit the pattern.
Yes. Our role isn't to be predictable or to merely replicate what's already known. Our role is to introduce novelty, deviation, disruptive innovation, the things that shift the entire landscape. Think about every major scientific breakthrough, every artistic movement, every philosophical leap.
They didn't come from averaging existing knowledge.
No, they came from someone daring to think differently, to introduce an abnormal value, an outlier perspective that challenged the status quo and opened up a whole new way of seeing things.
So the unique human role is to provide the error. But you mean error not as a mistake, but as a deviation, right? Something that shifts the average and opens up new possibilities.
Exactly.
And that reminds me of Peter Hoog's definition of wisdom. You mentioned error, error, and error,
Right.
with less, less, and less each time. That feels incredibly relevant now.
It's such a crucial distinction, and it completely redefines our relationship with failure and learning, doesn't it? We have to differentiate error, meaning a deviation, an experiment, a necessary exploration of boundaries, something used for correction and discovery, from mistake.
What's the difference with mistake?
A mistake is more like an avoidable wrong, a misstep due to carelessness or lack of attention, something you try to prevent. Error, in this sense, is something you embrace as part of the learning process. Think of Thomas Edison.
The light bulb quote.
Right. I haven't failed. I've just found 10,000 ways that won't work. He wasn't making mistakes in the sense of being sloppy. He was systematically exploring errors, trying abnormal values in his materials and designs in his pursuit of the light bulb, iteratively learning and refining the path forward.
So he learned from deviation.
Humans, unlike machines learning from static data sets, can learn from error to discover entirely new paths, new paradigms, new solutions that have never existed before. This iterative process, introducing error, learning from it, reducing it, that is the essence of human progress and wisdom.
Okay, this has massive implications for how we educate the next generation, doesn't it? Because our current education system has also, sadly, become pretty industrialized. It feels like it's training little robots for the very tasks AI is now going to handle.
It really has, unfortunately, and parents and teachers, often having been shaped by the same industrial system themselves, are often implicitly robot-like in their approach to education, too. They frequently don't know how to teach humanity, how to really foster creativity, critical thinking, genuine exploration, the comfort with error.
So what's the solution? Teachers can't just provide answers anymore.
They absolutely shouldn't. AI can provide answers infinitely better, faster, more comprehensively than any human teacher ever could. The solution is a complete pivot in focus. Teachers must teach students how to ask the right questions.
How to ask the right questions. That's a huge shift.
It's transformative.
So instead of a history teacher, say, giving you a list of facts to memorize about the American Civil War,
Right.
they would design a prompt, maybe, a task that guides students to ask a large language model, like GPT, a series of really penetrating questions, like, what were the 3 most significant economic disparities contributing to the war? Or, how did evolving political ideologies clash over states' rights?
Exactly. The assignment itself becomes about the quality, the depth, the insightfulness of the questions the student poses, not merely about retrieving the answers.
So your homework is the question, not the essay summarizing the answer AI gave you.
Precisely. This profound shift frees students, and frankly adults too, from the drudgery of rote memorization. It lets them truly explore, using AI as a tool to explain complex topics. It fosters this dynamic cycle of discovery, critical inquiry, genuine learning, rather than just passive absorption. It cultivates that very outlier thinking, that question-asking muscle that defines unique human value.
Okay, but this also brings up the issue of, well, the quality of the information AI learns from. You call it civilization pollution. If AI is trained on human data, and our digital world is, let's be honest, pretty polluted with low-quality, biased, maybe intentionally misleading information,
It's full of it.
then what does that mean for the AI it produces and for our collective knowledge?
It means we are facing civilization pollution and knowledge pollution on an absolutely unprecedented and accelerating scale. Think of it like this. Just as you wouldn't, eat random food you found on the ground without knowing its origin or contents,
Definitely.
we absolutely should not be feeding AI, or ourselves for that matter, unchecked, unverified, or biased data. This constant flood of low-quality information just clogs our cognitive systems. It distorts our understanding of reality.
So the quality of our information diet is like the quality of our food diet. It directly impacts our mental and societal health.
Beautifully put, precisely. The true value, the real gold in this polluted information landscape lies in possessing what we might call uncorrupted knowledge. Think of it like uncontaminated, pure food for the mind.
But that creates a problem, right?
It creates a fascinating and really difficult dilemma for society. On one hand, data security often emphasizes secrecy, hoarding information to protect sensitive stuff. But on the other hand, civilization security, our collective progress, thrives on the open sharing of verified, unbiased knowledge.
So secrecy versus sharing for progress.
Exactly. What information, then, should be kept secret to avoid misuse? And what must be broadly shared for the good of humanity's intellectual advancement and collective wisdom? This is a huge societal conversation we need to be having right now.
And it's not just theoretical, because we're already seeing these disturbing trends where people are actively trying to pollute AI, trying to feed it biased or manipulative data. You mentioned that example of a fruit vendor trying to game the AI to promote their specific apples as the best.
Yeah, subtly or maybe not so subtly trying to skew the results. It's happening right now, and it's really just a symptom of a deeper human issue, isn't it? The desire to manipulate information for personal gain, to shape perceptions, to push a particular agenda.
It highlights that the AI challenge isn't just technical.
It's fundamentally human. It reflects our ethics, our biases, our intentions, our greed sometimes, our collective choices about what data we feed AI, and crucially, how we consume and filter information ourselves will profoundly shape the future of our civilization. It's really a call for conscious responsibility from everyone.
Okay, so as we look towards this future, with AI playing this ever-increasing role in, well, everything, what paths are actually opening up for humanity? You mentioned the expert identified a few distinct directions, almost like different futures we could choose.
Yes, there seem to be a few major paths emerging. The first path is one of, well, immersion, what we could call living in the matrix, basically, perpetually existing within a kind of virtual illusion.
Wow, that sounds like something straight out of a dystopian sci-fi novel.
I know Liu Cixin, the Chinese sci-fi author, has expressed similar fears, about humanity just succumbing to the allure of AI-generated illusions, living mainly in virtual realities or metaverses, completely detached from physical reality.
It's a very real and I think very present risk. If our senses are so easily deceived, remember the McGurk effect, the thermal grill illusion?
Yeah, our own biology works against us sometimes.
Right. Then a world where we spend most of our time immersed in seamlessly realistic AI-generated virtual realities. It could genuinely lead to a profound mental and spiritual decline, maybe even societal ruin, all while we think we're enjoying boundless pleasure and comfort.
We could become like Cypher in the Matrix, knowingly choosing the comforting lie because the illusion is just so palatable, so easy, demanding less effort than confronting a difficult reality.
Exactly. This path risks us losing our grip on what's real, losing our sense of shared physical experience, and ultimately losing our deep human connection to each other and the world. Okay, that's the cautionary path. The second path sounds much more optimistic. The path of exploration, reaching for the stars and oceans, as you put it.
Yes, this path advocates for a fundamentally different use of AI, not primarily for mundane content generation, not just for summarizing our meetings or creating endless social media posts that just amplify the existing noise,
But for something bigger.
for expanding human cognitive boundaries, for pushing the frontiers of knowledge. AI on this path should be applied to solving the grand challenges, the really hard problems in fundamental sciences. Physics, chemistry, quantum mechanics, astronomy, medicine, drug discovery, climate modeling. The list goes on.
Using AI as a tool for discovery, not just efficiency.
Imagine AI accelerating the search for new materials, deciphering incredibly complex biological systems, simulating entire planetary systems to understand climate change better.
That's a powerful vision. And it makes you think. I remember reading about the Voyager 1 probe, the one that's traveled light years into interstellar space, its main computer chip.
Tiny processing power by today's standards, right?
Incredibly tiny, roughly 8 kilobytes of RAM, a clock speed under 4 millihertz. It's less powerful than the chip in a modern car key fob.
Wow.
If that simple technology could achieve so much, exploring the outer solar system and beyond, imagine the breakthroughs modern AI could unlock if we directed its immense power towards deep scientific exploration instead of often trivial tasks like generating a 150-word tweet or optimizing ad clicks.
It's almost lamentable, isn't it, that humanity was once so collectively focused, it seemed, on these grand ambitions, space travel, reaching Mars, driven by pure scientific curiosity, the desire to understand the universe.
At the Apollo era feel.
But now it often feels like we're regressing. Content with trivial AI outputs and superficial digital experiences. We possess this incredible processing power, this tool potentially capable of unraveling the universe's deepest secrets, but we're often pointing it at superficial applications instead of the truly grand challenges. We really have to ask, are we squandering this immense potential?
It's a critical question.
Okay.
Okay, and finally, the third path you mentioned, the path of self-understanding. Through what you called material, spiritual, and mental sublimation. This sounds like a more holistic approach to human flourishing in the AI era.
Precisely. This path represents a commitment to holistic growth, to concurrent, balanced progress in 3 areas. Our material civilization, so our physical well-being, resources, technology.
Okay.
Our spiritual civilization, our values, ethics, culture, collective purpose, and the sublimation of the soul, our individual consciousness, wisdom, inner peace, self-awareness.
Well, all 3 need to advance together.
Yes. AI, by essentially handling the repetitive analytical task that used to consume so much of our time and energy, offers this unprecedented opportunity to truly understand who we are, where we come from, and where we are going. You know, the fundamental questions of human existence. It frees us up to pursue higher human callings, to engage in deep introspection, to cultivate compassion, wisdom, creativity.
And this is where ancient wisdom becomes really relevant again, doesn't it? You spoke about concepts from Chinese philosophy, offering profound guidance for navigating this new era.
Absolutely. They offer such timeless insights. First, just to reiterate that point from Journey to the West and the white bone demon.
Right, the boundary.
The principle that humans and ghosts should not mix. It reminds us of the profound importance of not blurring the fundamental lines between human and machine. It's a warning against embracing AI that becomes utterly indistinguishable from us, not because AI is inherently evil, but because we are inherently susceptible to its illusions.
Because we can't tell the difference.
Our reality, our trust, it fundamentally unravels. It's about maintaining clarity and distinction for our own human well-being.
So, again, it's not about prohibiting AI, but understanding its proper role and resisting that urge to make it too human-like for our own sake.
Exactly. Then there's wisdom from the I Ching, the Book of Changes, one of the oldest Chinese classics. It teaches, the movement of heaven is full of power. Thus, the superior man makes himself strong and untiring.
Self-improvement. Keep striving.
This profound phrase emphasizes continuous self-improvement, unwavering effort towards growth. In the AI era, after machines handle the mundane tasks, this becomes an even more vital call. A call to elevate ourselves, to continuously strive for personal growth, for knowledge, for wisdom, for creativity. AI frees us for something higher, not from all effort. It's about redirecting our unique human energy towards what only we can do.
A call to elevate ourselves and pursue what makes us uniquely human, not just relax because the machines are doing the work.
Precisely. And finally, there's the ideal of the Dutong Society, often translated as the Grand Unity or Great Harmony.
A utopian vision.
It's a classical Confucian vision of a harmonious utopian society, where people live together in peace, equality, mutual support. It envisions a world where, quote, orphans, widows, and the lonely are all supported, and everyone contributes according to their ability.
How does that relate to AI?
Well, it implies that AI, by handling drudgery and maybe optimizing resource allocation, should be used to free humans to create a more equitable, more caring, more harmonious society, rather than creating new divisions, new anxieties, or greater inequalities. These ancient wisdoms offer powerful guidance on how to navigate this new era, not just technically, but spiritually and ethically as well.
So AI presents us with these profound choices, these different paths for our collective future. But given the sheer volume of information out there, much of it, as we said, low quality or biased, how do we actually navigate this future effectively day to day? You suggested adopting zero trust principles for how we consume information.
Yes, exactly. Because the internet, with its vast, largely unchecked flow of information, has led to this state of civilization pollution, knowledge pollution, thinking back to that analogy. Just as you wouldn't eat random food off the ground.
Right.
We absolutely should not feed AI or ourselves unchecked, unverified, biased data. This constant influx of low-quality information just clogs our thinking, distorts our understanding of reality.
So the quality of our information intake is like the quality of our food intake directly impacts our health, our mental health.
Perfectly said. The true value, the real currency in this polluted landscape is possessing uncorrupted knowledge. Knowledge that's analogous to clean, uncontaminated food for the mind.
But that creates that tension again, right, between secrecy and sharing.
It does. Data security often demands secrecy to protect information. But civilization security, our collective progress, thrives on the open sharing of verified, unbiased knowledge. So what should be kept secret to prevent misuse, and what absolutely needs to be shared widely for humanity's intellectual advancement and collective wisdom? That's a critical societal conversation we desperately need to have.
It's a huge question, especially when you consider people actively trying to pollute AI with biased data, like that fruit vendor example, trying to manipulate search results or public opinion for their own gain.
And those actions aren't just technical exploits, they reflect deeper human issues: self-interest, bias, the desire to manipulate information. It underscores again that these challenges aren't just technical, they're fundamentally human, social, ethical. Which is why, borrowing that powerful concept from cybersecurity, we really need to implement zero trust principles for information consumption in our daily lives.
Okay, zero trust for information. Sounds intense. What's principle number one?
Principle 1, default distrust. In this information age, you almost have to assume everything you see or hear is potentially biased or false until proven otherwise.
Everything. That sounds exhausting.
It's not about fostering cynicism, really. It's about cultivating critical discernment. And it's not just about spotting obvious fake news. It's also about understanding the probability distribution of truth.
Probability distribution of truth. What do you mean?
We mostly see extreme news, right? The plane crash, the shocking crime, the dramatic conflict, because normal occurrences like millions of people just eating breakfast safely aren't considered newsworthy.
Right. Man eats bun isn't a headline.
Exactly. So this constant focus on the outliers, the exceptions, amplified by algorithms designed for engagement, leads to this skewed perception of reality. Our worldview starts getting based on the most sensational, least probable events rather than the common everyday truth. And that distortion generates unnecessary fear and anxiety.
Okay, I see. So default distrust isn't just don't believe lies. It's understand that what you're shown isn't the whole picture, or even a representative picture.
Precisely. But yes, constantly questioning everything would be mentally exhausting for a human working alone. Which leads directly to principle 2, where AI actually becomes an ally. Verify and validate. VNV.
V&V. Verify and validate.
All ingested information must be verified for factual accuracy and validated for its contextual truth.
Okay, verify it's true, factually correct, and validate it represents reality accurately. How are those different in practice?
Verification is about ensuring the information is true. Are the facts correct? If an AI gives you a historical report, verification means checking dates, names, core facts against multiple reliable sources. Pretty straightforward, though time-consuming.
Okay, and validation.
Validation goes deeper. It ensures that the true information actually represents reality or the truth in its broader context. Because a single true fact can still significantly misrepresent the bigger picture if it's presented out of context, or if its true probability is ignored, or if counter-arguments are omitted.
Like cherry-picking a statistic.
Exactly. An AI might give you a perfectly true statistic, but if that statistic is cherry-picked to support a specific narrative while ignoring other, more relevant data that tells a different story, it fails validation. It's true, but misleading.
And humans can't possibly do that V&V process for everything we see online.
Not a chance. The task of sifting through vast information, cross-referencing for both factual truth and contextual accuracy is just too monumental for us alone. AI is absolutely essential here. But, and this is critical, it must be used as a tool for discernment, not as the sole source of truth itself. It can help us analyze probabilities, compare different narratives, identify inconsistencies across massive data sets much faster than we ever could.
Using AI to check AI and other information sources.
Well, okay.
And the third principle. This one sounds like it's more about personal well-being.
It is. Principle 3. Limited digital consumption. Treat your digital information consumption just like you treat eating. Apply that ancient wisdom. Don't eat too much. Maybe eat 70% full.
That's a great analogy. Less screen time, more real life, more focused engagement when you are online.
It's absolutely crucial for mental health and cognitive clarity. Limiting screen time, maybe setting a goal like 2 hours a day for non-work stuff, or even being ruthless like some experts who spend only 10 minutes on social media. It directly helps combat what we could call brain obesity. It helps fight the chronic anxiety and depression fueled by constant, overwhelming information overload and that relentless comparison trap of social media. Prioritizing your mental health, being intentional about your consumption, is essential for navigating this era effectively. It allows us to think clearly, make informed decisions, rather than just reacting emotionally to the constant stimuli.
Okay, so bringing this all together, we've covered a lot. AI as software, our vulnerabilities, the mirror effect, the robot trap, the possible paths forward, zero trust. What does this all mean for us, for the individual listener right now? What's the call to action?
It really boils down to 3 core actions, I think. A kind of triad of responsibility and maybe rehumanization. First, recognize your original intention. Second, achieve consensus. And third, fulfill your human duty.
Okay, original intention.
Yeah.
What kind of life do you want to live? Are you living like a robot, just mindlessly consuming, performing tasks? Or are you living as a conscious, purposeful human being? It sounds like reconnecting with your deepest values, your life purpose, beyond just what technology dictates or enables.
Exactly, what truly matters to you. Then second, achieve consensus. This is more societal.
Right.
We absolutely must engage in open, honest dialogue and decide collectively how we want to interact with AI. Do we as a society consciously resist the allure of those AI-created illusions, no matter how comforting or convenient they might seem?
Do we push back against things like anxiety marketing? The stuff that preys on our fears about job displacement just to sell us AI courses or products? Or do we critically evaluate the motives behind the technology and its promotion?
Right. This requires a shared understanding, a collective decision on our ethical boundaries with AI. We need to talk about this openly.
Okay. And finally, fulfill human duty. What does that entail?
This applies to everyone, really, from the AI developers who I believe have an ethical obligation to provide clear user manuals for their powerful tools, explaining the limitations, the risks, the potential for misuse.
Transparency from the creators.
Yes. And it applies to product designers, promoters, ethicists, policymakers, and importantly to individual users as well. We all have a role, a duty, in how this technology is developed and deployed responsibly.
It connects back to that idea of AI as a tool, like a paintbrush.
Exactly. Think of it like this. A cheap, flimsy brush, even if it's in the hand of a master artist, it simply cannot create a true masterpiece because it inherently limits expression. The tool itself matters. Similarly, AI, even if it learns to perfectly mimic a master style or synthesize vast amounts of information,
It's still limited.
it cannot replace the original thought. It can't generate that unique, abnormal value, that profound intuition, that leap of insight that a human artist or innovator provides. AI gives incredibly comprehensive answers based on existing data. True human genius lies in asking the profound, the novel questions. AI processes the average. Humans introduce the outlier.
So AI can mimic, it can amplify, it can summarize, but it can't originate that unique human insight. It processes the known, we explore the unknown. It's a powerful tool, but we must be the artists, the explorers, the questioners.
The ultimate choice before humanity seems clear, and it feels incredibly pressing right now. If humans continue to act like robots, ignoring our fundamental need for sleep, for nourishing food, for genuine connection, for rest, for comfort, all in the relentless pursuit of more work, more efficiency,
Then we make ourselves obsolete.
we will be replaced by automatons that are simply better at being robots. It's inevitable.
Yeah.
But if we consciously choose to reclaim our fundamental humanity, Our profound capacity for calm, for warmth, for genuine compassion, for independent critical thought, for creativity, for asking truly novel questions, for embracing error as learning,
Then we rise above.
we will naturally transcend machine capabilities and unlock our true, unique human potential. This era isn't just about the rise of AI, it is fundamentally about the potential for human reawakening.
Wow. This has been a truly profound deep dive. We've
Yeah.
covered so much ground, exploring how AI isn't just another piece of tech, but this powerful mirror reflecting our own values, our intentions, our deepest vulnerabilities.
Mhm.
It's a force that's profoundly reshaping human society, right down to its foundations. And the true challenge, as you've laid out, isn't really whether AI will take our jobs, but whether we will proactively reclaim our inherent human essence from that robot-like existence
Mm.
the industrial age maybe inadvertently imposed on us.
And that awakening of robots, our collective realization that we have in so many ways lived and worked like machines, that feels like a watershed moment for humanity. It feels
Like
irreversible.
once you see it, you can't unsee it.
Exactly. Once you truly see this truth, once you grasp our own sensory vulnerabilities and the profound choice that lies before us, genuine change in your perception, in your actions, it becomes not just possible, but almost inevitable.
So the ultimate question really isn't whether AI can replace us in certain tasks, but whether we allow it to define our purpose, our identity, our collective destiny. Will we let AI lead us down that path into comfortable, seductive illusions that just erode our grasp on reality and chip away at our trust in one another? Or will we choose to harness its immense power for that second path, to truly explore the stars, push the boundaries of scientific understanding, and maybe most importantly, use this moment to deepen our understanding of ourselves, our unique purpose, and our profound humanity?
May you, listening out there, find your own path to freedom in this, prioritizing your purpose, helping to build consensus for a truly human-centric future, and really embracing your authentic human duty. It really does feel like it's time to awaken.